Welcome. Today, we're diving into a really powerful explainer we're calling The Day He Finally Took Control of His Money. Have you ever felt like you're working so incredibly hard, yet your bank account barely even reflects all that effort? Well, let me tell you a story about how that frustrating cycle actually gets broken. Imagine this. You're storing at your banking app on a Wednesday morning. You know payday isn't until Friday, and you see exactly $14.32 staring right back at you. That was the gut-wrenching reality for a guy named David. He's a graphic designer earning a decent, modest salary, yet he was constantly just treading water. It's the stressful, panic-inducing moment that honestly far too many of us have experienced. You know the feeling, right? That physical anxiety of swiping a debit card for groceries and silently praying it doesn't decline. David was going to work every single day, paying his rent on time, and yet here he was, literally one flat tire or unexpected medical bill away from a total financial disaster. And the crazy part, it wasn't some sudden crisis that drained his accounts. It was just a constant, exhausting feeling of working for a living, but slowly sinking. So what happens when your daily habits hijack your future? How does a guy with a steady paycheck end up with 14 bucks to his name? It's a fascinating question, and honestly, the answer is usually pretty mundane. It wasn't a shiny new sports car he couldn't afford. It wasn't a bad crypto bet or a wild speculative loan. Nope. Instead, his future was being quietly hijacked on autopilot. Because here's the reality. When you don't tell your money where to go, it tends to just walk away on its own. This represents the core struggle for so many of us. It's the invisible drain of capital that happens when our daily routines just run without any friction, completely disconnected from our long-term goals. And society normalizes this, doesn't it? We're actively encouraged to just tap our phones for instant convenience, so we never really feel the weight of the money leaving our hands.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the math, because it is absolutely staggering. This is exactly where the mystery of the missing paycheck is solved. If we break down those daily autopilot choices, the reality is a pretty tough pill to swallow. I mean, a $5 iced coffee doesn't feel like a luxury on a Tuesday morning. It feels like survival. But over a year, that's roughly $1,800. What about that impulsive $15 takeout order 3 times a week because you're just too tired to cook? That's over $2,300 annually. Toss in those 3 streaming services you forgot to cancel, the classic graveyard of unused apps at 15 bucks a month, and suddenly you are hemorrhaging thousands of dollars a year. These tiny, seemingly insignificant spending mistakes were quietly bleeding a fortune, keeping David totally trapped in that paycheck-to-paycheck cycle.
And that brings us to the turning point. Staring at that $14 bank balance, it finally clicked from him. The system wasn't entirely to blame. He was. He was the author of his own financial struggle. But you know what? That realization wasn't depressing at all. It was actually this incredibly empowering emotional awakening. By acknowledging that his small, daily choices were controlling his future, he realized he actually held the keys to his own freedom. It's like if small, bad choices could effortlessly drain his bank account, then small, intentional, good choices could absolutely build it back up. He made the firm, uncompromising decision that day to stop being a passenger and finally take the wheel. Before he could change his bank account, though, he actually had to change his mind. His old mindset is what most of us naturally default to. We pay our bills, we buy our groceries, we go out with friends, and we just kind of hope to save whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month. The problem, as David learned the hard way, there is rarely anything left. The new mindset, which became his absolute blueprint for change, flipped the equation entirely. Spend what's left after saving. You literally take your savings out the very second you get paid, before you even have the chance to spend a single dime. Then, you force your lifestyle to fit whatever remains. This isn't just about David. It's the exact mental flip you need if you constantly find yourself with $0 on the 30th of the month. It completely short-circuits those impulsive habits. So, the crucial point is, how do we actually execute this? Well, here are the 5 practical money and budgeting lessons David implemented, lessons that anyone can start using immediately. Number 1, track every dollar. You simply cannot manage what you don't measure. Number 2, pay yourself first. That puts that exact mindset shift we just discussed into action. Number 3, ruthlessly cut unused subscriptions. You have to plug the leaks in the boat before you can row forward. Number 4, build a mini emergency fund. Maybe just $1,000 to start. Sell some old clothes, pick up a side gig for a weekend, just so that a minor inconvenience doesn't become a crisis that puts you into credit card debt. And number 5, the 24-hour rule. Leave it in the online cart for a full day. You'd be amazed how often that must-have item loses its absolute magic by tomorrow. Once David mastered his daily spending and built a bit of a buffer, he realized something else. Saving alone wasn't going to build true wealth. He had to learn how to play offense. And that introduces us to the beautiful concept of compound growth. In beginner-friendly terms, this is what happens when the money you save earns interest. And then, crucially, that newly earned interest starts earning its own interest over time. It is practically magic when you see it in action. Think of it like a giant snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it gathers snow pretty slowly, but as it gets bigger, its surface area expands, and it packs on fresh snow at a massively accelerated rate. This is exactly how small, consistent savings can transform into serious, generational financial security. And this brilliantly illustrates how time acts as the ultimate multiplier. By simply redirecting the money he was previously losing to takeout and forgotten apps, David put this snowball into motion. The first 10 years show steady, linear progress. It feels good, sure, but it's modest. But look at the progress for years 20 and 30. The growth is completely exponential. Most of the wealth in those later decades isn't even the money David put in. It's the growth on the growth. It's the snowball doing the work for him. By maintaining his new habits and letting time do the heavy lifting, he wasn't just surviving a $14 bank balance anymore. He was buying back his future. Now, let's do a quick reality check here. Real life has bumps. Wealth isn't guaranteed, and it is certainly not effortless. Investing involves real risk. The stock market goes down just like it goes up, especially in the short term. The numbers we've looked at show historical averages to demonstrate the math, not to sell you a magic ticket. These examples are for educational purposes. True financial control requires continuous learning, discipline, patience, and a clear understanding of your own risk tolerance. There are going to be months where the car breaks down or the market dips, and it feels like you're going backward. That is just part of the realistic journey. But ultimately, the core takeaway here is empowerment. You are not at the mercy of your paycheck unless you choose to be. By identifying the small leaks, flipping your mindset, and putting time on your side, you can rewrite your financial destiny just like David did. So ask yourself, which of your daily autopilot habits is quietly stealing your future right now? If this story taught you something about money, follow for more finance stories and simple money lessons. Money Scrunchy.